Well, here I am. I'm working in the basement. The kids are upstairs carrying on, which is fine. Um, but what I'm doing is I've made a ton of the blue. Well, I'm fulfilling orders I already have for Blu-rays. So I'm showing you the process. First thing I have to do is I have to make the DVD cases. Well, the Blu-ray. I keep saying, look, one guy one time chastised me. Hang on, let me go over here too. One guy chastised me because I referred to Blu-rays as DVDs. Well, DVD stands for digital video disc. Hello, babies. And Blu-rays are digital video disc. Mrs. Biggins is coming down to bring the dogs out. So the first thing I do is I've got these cases that hold 12 DVDs. Hi, babies. And here's the case. Hello. And I print out. These are the covers. I print it out. And then what I do is I have to cut them to size because each one of these I do is a different size. Not each one of these pieces of paper, but like when I had 8 DVDs, the cases were thinner. And now that I have 12, the cases are thicker. So I have to cut these by hand. And each one of these requires 4 cuts, printed on 8.5 by 14 paper. By the way, for those of you that see the logo up there for the shop, I don't currently have any Blu-rays for sale because these ones I'm making now, see, that was fucked up, that one. These ones I'm making now are for back orders. But what I do have in there is the opportunity for people that want their name in the film for displayed in the film for a hi Sherry, for a cheap price. There's an opportunity to do that. That might have worked. So now what I do is I cut it down to size, and then I take the Blu-ray case and theoretically this should fit. I told you I make these things by hand, and I figured while I was here doing this today, maybe the Benites will keep me company. And voila, the case is done. So I've got 10 of these I have to make. Now, one of the things is this is a pretty good paper cutter I got from Staples, but you gotta be careful because this fucking thing will take a finger off. Right, Mrs. Biggins? What did they see out back they were barking at? So, let's see here. Hi, Judy. Good morning. I'm sitting here working, making DVDs, Blu-rays, I should say, the 12-pack. The longest part of the process is duplicating the Blu-rays. But I bought a Blu-ray duplicator, which allows me to do 5 at a time, which currently 2 of the drives are malfunctioning, so I can do 3 at a time. So I'm going to try to contact the company and see if they will either sell me replacement, because I really can't complain. Hey, Debbie. I really can't complain. The thing, I bought it in November, and I've run about 1,200 Blu-rays through the thing. and some of the drives are starting to fail, which sometimes they can be cleaned. See, I cut the case. Sometimes they can be cleaned and they'll start working again, but not always. Oh, what I was saying about that badben.com/shop, there's an opportunity if somebody wants their name on a webcam. There's cheap. They start at $25, and not all of them are long. You know what? This one's a little. No, I guess that's right. Some of them are up on screen only for a couple seconds, but like there's one up there that's up there for over a minute. So basically, where it would say like Franklin Boulevard, or say would say Egg Harbor Township webcam, it could say you could put your name in there like the Tom Riley Observatory. Just a fun way to become a permanent part of the Bad Ben universe. And also, there's street names. There's going to be, as Jackson and I are driving around, Scott and I are driving around, there's going to be like displayed on screen, like a map program that shows the street we're on. So like, for instance, say your name was Smith, you could put, or say your wife's name was Becky Smith, you could put up Becky Smith Boulevard. This one is not the greatest. Let's see here if I can fix this. Well, maybe that's okay. So this is how I make these each hand by hand, the Blu-rays. So the first thing I'm doing is creating the covers, and then I'll start printing on the Blu-rays. Now the reason, in case you're wondering, that one's too long. Maybe it's not. The reason why I print, I make these are printable Blu-rays, and I make these. Good morning, Mark. I copy these before I print on them because it uses a lot of ink to print. And the reason why I copy them first is because if a DVD fails, then I just put another blank on it. But if it succeeds, I print on it afterwards. It's just to save ink because the ink is expensive. It's a pretty good Epson printer here, 7100 series. I got it at Staples for dirt cheap. And it's really quite durable because when I say the Blu-ray duplicator has run over 1,200 of these, so has this printer printed them out. So good morning, Monique. Figured I'd just do this broadcast because I got to sit here and do this for the next couple hours, and I can give you guys something to look at instead of all the junk that's on social media right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's important to stay informed, but I just Twitter has become, since its new owner, it has become, the algorithm for what stories come up in your feed has become skewed so that it is somewhat unbearable to me anyway. And the news. And if you put on, there's two different you got Fox News, and then you have like CNN and MSNBC, and you have Fox News on one side, Newsmax. I don't even know if our cable company covers Newsmax. But then on the other side, you've got CNN and MSNBC, and they just say you don't know who to believe. I mean, good morning, Deb. Haven't seen you in a while. I mean, there's common sense should have you believe some things, but just they're so opposed, so on the opposite side of the spectrum that it's depressing. I remember in the old days, you used to have, who was it, Walter Cronkite or Dan Rather or whoever NBC was at the time. No, Dan Rather was CBS too. That was Walter Cronkite. But I remember the days of like Peter Jennings and Dan Rather and whoever was on NBC. Tom Brokaw at one point. And you used to be able to put good morning, Tiffany. You used to be able to put those things on, and basically whatever they said, you accept it as not gospel, but as accurate reporting of the news. Then when we got to these cable channels, and you've got like Fox News and CNN, I'll use as the two examples of two different sides. One leans left, one leans right. Shit. All right, I think I fixed it. Those you don't know, I don't know. It's so depressing the way people are right now. By the way, Sherry, are you still in? Oh yeah, there you are. You did the T-shirt, right? Because we just bought the stuff for that this morning. Try to fix that. All right, we bought the stuff to do that this morning. Holly's gonna make that probably tomorrow. We're not shooting Friday night because it's Good Friday. We were going to shoot tonight, but you guys remember I did the little fundraiser the other day to buy a piece of equipment. Well, I bought it, and it doesn't come until Friday. So rather than not use it, I'll wait till it comes. So I'm going to have to ask Scott. It will be his decision, so you can blame him. We might shoot. I'll ask him if he wants to shoot Saturday night. But if not, we'll pick up next week and shoot 2 days. So what are you all out there doing today? Good morning, foolish. That's a name, by the way, of a person in the room. I'm not calling any of you foolish. Working and watching me. I'm sure your employer's thrilled. Unless working means you work from home, or working could mean you're doing stuff around the house. What movie? Oh, I started watching The Mist last night. I've seen it before, but it was up on my Netflix screen. So I popped it on. So well done, I think. And the ending of that thing. Ugh. Incidentally, not that this has any particular, it doesn't affect anybody here, but hi, Bud. Bud, I got your information, didn't I? I remember sending you an email last weekend. In case any of you that are just joining, um, wondering what I'm doing, is I'm working here. So I figured maybe you guys would like to keep me company. And I am making Blu-rays to fulfill the back orders. I make them by hand. Right now I'm cutting the cutting out the case covers. I'll show you in a second for those of you that have just joined me. Hi, Leela. Afternoon. Where are you at? England? Is it afternoon? Well, where we're at, it's 11 a.m., 11:07. All right, for those of you that are just joining, hang on a second, I got to straighten this out. I told you I make the Blu-rays by hand. So let me show you how that process works. I have a blank Blu-ray case, and I have to print out the cover on 8.5 by 14, so you can see there's an extra border. So then I have to cut it down to the size of the Blu-ray case. And each one of these, to get the border so it's the right size, has to be cut. All four sides have to be cut. And I have to start with the shorter size because it won't fit in the paper cutter otherwise. And this paper cutter was purchased at Staples, and it's really good. You remember these things as kids in grade school? Well, some of you are kind of young. But now, after I cut off all four sides, I have it the size I need, and I open the case. Well, hello, Yorkshire. So let's see, it's 510, 5089 over there. My friends from Access Paranormal keep me informed of the time over there. And after I put it in, there I have the Blu-ray case. And then I sit them aside. I've got one more of them to cut. And then I can move on to making the DVDs. So again, here it is with the borders. And if you can see them there, I put little markers on them so I know where to cut them. And like this one, I screwed up already. You can't see it, but there's a little piece there that shouldn't be there. But I'll get that off in a second. But cut the two short ends first. So it fits sideways, and then I cut the long ends. Now I got to try to fix one of these that I screwed up. see if I can fix this. Let's see how it looks in the case. You're both at work. I'm sure, like I mentioned earlier to Mark, I'm sure your employer, if you go into a place to work, I'm sure your employer appreciates you watching me. Maybe I can help. Where do you work? What type of work do you do, I should say? All right, well, that one turned out. And there, I've made the cases. So all 10 cases are done. Now I can sit. Always lock your paper cutter. Safety first. So for those of you that are watching from work, you could tell your employer that Nigel follows OSHA standards. So now I can start making the DVDs. Now you guys can't see the printer over here, but you put the blank DVDs into this holder and you load them in the printer and, well, you print them. Let's see here. Let me take, for instance, Bad Ben, the first one. And I will take, hang on a second, folks. Let me grab something. I lost it. Oh, there it is. There it is. Hello there. So here's the master set, as you see, master set. I take the DVDs, the master DVD, Blu-ray. I keep calling them DVDs. Somebody's going to call me out on that. Put it back in the case. And then here is the stack of blank Blu-rays. Now, for the Bad Ben ones, I made 10. The other ones, I made 8. And the reason is because I didn't have enough blanks. So I set this one down so it's a little bit lighter. Select printer. Okay. You need user driver provided by Epson. Why they do this today. So let's see if I can bring this up over here. Epson 7100 driver. OSHA approved. I do maintenance work in factories. Let's see if this will work now. I haven't used my laptop since August when I plugged it in this morning to do this broadcast so that I could move everything over here. I it when it my emails had all changed and everything. So let's see if this does what it's supposed to do. I never hooked this printer up to this laptop before. So I'll be able to start printing these Blu-rays. Installing Epson drivers and utilities. Well, it's been at 0 here for about 10 seconds. That's not a good sign. Progress 0. Oh, oh, there it goes. So we got Easter weekend coming up. So pissed off. If you do maintenance work in factories, that sounds like you're working on some equipment. You better be careful. I don't want you watching this Nigel Bach broadcast bullshit and then losing an arm in a giant mixer or something. Just looking out for you, brother. There's my Easter basket over there with the baby doll head. That baby doll head is so old that the hair all fell out. It's still got like the net that it was glued to, but that thing's probably 60 years old. Setting up the device. I hope this works. I didn't realize I was air printing before, so I'm surprised those covers came out so nice. Okay. Let's see this bullshit. Ugh. Let me go in here and try to undo some of this. I know this is exciting to watch. Printers and scanners. Let's get rid of this one. Get rid of this one. Get rid of this one. Add printer. Oh, I think that should have done it. I'll let you know here in a minute. No, this isn't looking good. Oh, F and print TV. Mac. I already have that. This might do it. Let's see. Ah, okay. That's working. Aren't you all excited? I lost half my viewers. Yes. Well, I'm making 8 sets now to fulfill back orders. So here's a blank Blu-ray. And I feed this into the slot, and now it's printing. It is riveting, isn't it? Oh, dumbass. I just printed a blank CD, Blu-ray. All right, let's see. What the frick is this telling me? That's not out late yet. Insert, installed, boom. Now, one of the things I don't want to happen is I don't want to have it print and there's a mistake on the Blu-ray because they're expensive. Mistakes are expensive. Doesn't take long to print, but like for instance, making 8 sets here of 11, that's 88 Blu-rays I have to print on. Look how crooked that's burned. So taking about a minute per to burn or less, that's going to take an hour and a half. So now that's the finished product. Load another one. You always want to make sure there's no grain of dirt or anything on the Blu-ray because it will print over it and then it'll fall off and you'll have a white spot on your Blu-ray. Capcom once misspelled the word Revelations as Rev. They might be worth money. Unless they made like 10,000 of them. I one time bought meatballs, frozen meatballs, and it had cooked for 8 minutes at like 375 degrees. Then it had cooked for 10 minutes at 400 degrees. So I called the company. I said, which is right? And they said the 10-minute one. I said, well, why don't you replace the label? They said, because we had 40,000 bags printed. Then I would take each one by hand and take a Sharpie and cross it out. Boom. And this is now what I'll do about 90 times. Yeah, somebody probably did get fired for that. You know, though, businesses in general, if you've got a person that keeps, if you're a manager and you got a person that keeps screwing up, the first time they screw up, you got to ask yourself, was it that we trained them wrong or was it a mistake? You shouldn't always just fire somebody. But I mean, the one thing that quite often gets people fired immediately is safety things. Hey, Danny, thank you for popping in while at work. The thing that should get somebody fired like kind of immediately is safety if they've been trained properly. But everybody deserves a second chance. Like unless you're on the space shuttle and it blows up, but because you hit the wrong button. So you can see the process is rather tedious. But, right, into the printer, and it's printing. The one thing about this, as you know, when I sell these DVDs and all, it's for the purpose of covering production costs and the doing this all by hand takes some time, but saves money. And of all of the like 70 or 80 set or 100 sets I sold, um, only two problems. One of them was the case arrived jacked up, so I sent them a new case. And the other, but the Blu-rays were okay. The second person couldn't get the Blu-rays to play on any machine. And so I sent him just another copy of the Blu-rays. And this was over a month ago and haven't heard back, so it must have worked. I said, well, I've sent out a lot of these, so I'm pretty sure there's nothing wrong with the Blu-rays. However, it's a possibility you got an entire blank set. So when I had another set that I verified and I sent him, like I said, I had never heard back. So at the website listed below, there's a bunch of opportunities for people, and a bunch of opportunities for people to have their name displayed in the film for cheap, um, by naming a webcam. For instance, one of the examples is the English Creek webcam, and that could be named after you. It could be the Isaac Lawrence webcam. Well, the original space shuttle did have an ejection, but the prototype. But after that, there was no ejection. Out here near to us is the Atlantic City International Airport, which is also home to the William J. Hughes Technical Center. There's two FAA technical centers in the country, primarily two. There's the one in Atlantic City, and there's one in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. There's also the FAA in Washington. There may be other offices, but as far as with technical centers, there's Atlantic City and there's Oklahoma. And the airport, the runway out here, is the second largest runway on the East Coast next to Cape Canaveral. So it was a backup landing site for the space shuttle. And in fact, the Air Guard out there and the FAA fire departments were trained on extraction and stuff like that in the event. But of course, one never landed there and or would need to, or has needed to, and they won't now. Oh, there's our trash being picked up. Next to this monitor, I have the monitor outside the camera for the driveway. So this is my day making Blu-rays. Sounds like the puppers upstairs have calmed down. We have unusually mild weather for early April. Hang on, Isaac. I'll answer that in a second. So I just told you Sable had calmed down, but what happens is we have the back deck doors open so she can go out on the back deck, and she looks down over the woods, and if she sees a squirrel or a rabbit, or more enticing can be a deer or a wild turkey, we have a lot of them, then she loses her mind. As far as, let's see, do you need anything fancy to press Blu-rays, or can anyone do it through disk drive on? If you, most computers that come with a DVD drive, because like the MacBooks don't come with them anymore. You have to, they might come with an external one, but it's not built into it like they used to be. They have, if it's a DVD drive, it might just read them. If it's a Blu-ray drive, it might just read them. But I bought an external Blu-ray drive, and what I did was I just made the master copies using that. And you need particular software. I could get you the name of the software to author the Blu-ray. It allows you to put a menu up, and it allows you to put like a play button and stuff like that. And if you're really fancy, you can put like chapters or bonus features or stuff like that on there. I saw one of my fellow producers, the guy that produced the movie Chest, he had a pretty fancy menu. And then you can burn them individually if you have a Blu-ray burner. You have to get Blu-ray burnable DVDs or Blu-rays that are burnable. I get the blank ones so that I can print my own label on them. So that's like Bad Ben. And then you can burn them individually from your computer. They'll take forever, or you can get a duplicator. And they're not that much money. And with a duplicator, you just put the master in the top slot, and then you put the copies beneath it, and you hit go, and it copies like, I mean, you can get them single copy up to 10 or more. And for this one, for DVDs, I had a 7 DVD copier. For Blu-rays, I have a 5, but 2 of the drives are malfunctioning. So I got to contact the company, and I only bought the thing in November. But like you see, this is 90 Blu-rays I had to run through the duplicator. So I wound up selling over 100 of these total, which is 1,100. And as you can imagine, running 1,100 is like 200 through each drive, 300 through each drive. So they wear out. I did take them out and clean the heads, and that had them working for a little while, but not long. So now the first copy of all the Bad Bens are done. 10 more stacks to go. There's several different programs that were used. The software for the DVD maker, you have to email me, nigel@nigelbach.com, and when I look it up, I'll email you the name of it. It's not on this computer, but it only works on a Windows computer. So I have a Windows and I have a Mac, so I had to make the masters on a Windows, and then I made so the first stack of 10 is done. Now, like I said, the other ones. Now, this is Steelmanville Road. I'll put this master back in the case so I keep track of what I'm doing. Let me see how many of these I have. All right, this one's 8, so that'll be less. Eight. Print. Boom. Now, I'm going to have to ask you guys a favor. I know this is very exciting to watch, but I've got to go retrieve my trash can before it gets hit by a car. Be right back. Be right back. I want to see how many of you will wait. I hope you weren't too terribly bored. So now, and I always check the master to make sure there's no spots in it. The first of Steelmanville Road is done. But I don't have 1,100 of these to make now. I have 88. I could have hooked up the camera into here so that you could have watched my excitement as I walked down the driveway to get the trash can. Whereas my neighbors, who I like, sometimes leave their trash cans out for days. Believe it or not, about a decade ago, we switched from where you would put a trash can out and guys would hop off the back of the truck and dump it into the truck to this machine that now picks them up and dumps them and then puts the trash can down. And each one of them has a number assigned to it. I had somebody steal recycling, however, still is done manually. And I had somebody steal my recycling can. I wish I had cameras back then. Isaac didn't trust me, thought I was going to jump scare. We got plenty of them coming up. This is my little studio section here, by the way. Although you're smart people, you know that. It's the beginning of Passover, and if you celebrate, you probably aren't on here watching. Isaac, something though also about Blu-rays. Let's say you were having you need a printer. You don't, you can print on labels and then stick them to the DVDs, but that looks like crap to the Blu-rays. If you print right on the Blu-rays, it looks more professional. But you need a printer that will do that. And there's some cheap ones out there. By cheap, I mean like less than $200. Like this one was like on sale at Staples for like $149, which is insanely cheap. And it's a workhorse, this thing. And so you need that. Plus you need a Blu-ray burner. And you need salt. Well, if you can, there are companies out there that do this. So say you were only in need of making like 100 of them. You could take the artwork, make it up, and also the video file. You could fit. I mean, now you can get thumb drives that are 256 gig, which should fit most movies, even if it's Apple ProRes. And you can send the companies like, or some of them have where you could just upload it to like a file sharing site, and they will make your Blu-rays for you, including printing them, duplicating them, printing a case, a cover, and everything for them. It's not that expensive. It might wind up being $1 or $2 per Blu-ray, but if you're selling them for like, depending on how many you're doing, you got to do the math. It could be because buying all the stuff to do it is pricey. Whereas sending them to a company that does them and they can mass produce, not so much. How you doing, Glenn? Over there, you can't see him. Is Glenn? I can tell by the lack of conversation. A lot of you are sitting there with your AirPods or your phone sitting on your desk at work or whatever you do, and you're just listening. There are sometimes, Isaac, if you look around for local video production services, like people that do weddings, for instance, you can get somebody that'll do smaller runs. Evil Ash admits. He admits he's screwing off listening to me and this intriguing, exciting, riveting work process I'm going through. This is a quorum. It's called the Churchill. Sherry's putting on makeup while listening to me. See, that's exactly, Isaac, why I couldn't do a jump scare. because had I walked back in here and done a boo and scared Sherry, she could have had lipstick right across her face. Are you working from home, Ash? Did you guys see the new hoodies? I'll show you. This is the hoodie. It's purple. And I'm not wearing it because I don't want to burn a hole in it. But I actually have one of them in XL and one of them in large, and a version just like that in the t-shirt XL and large. Hey, Squatch, you know, I was able to cheaply put up on my editing monitor. I was able to cheaply put together three of them. I had because the iMac is a monitor, it's an all in one. And then I got two cheap curved monitors. When I say cheap, they were like 129 bucks. I couldn't believe how cheap they were. And I got these arms that attached to the desk, and I was able to put a left one and a right one, but you only used to be able to do two, or it would crash and when it went to sleep. But I got one of these things here, which this is, that's a USB-C connector, and you got this, which has a HDMI out, and it's also got USB ports. But you connect that. I connected two of them to the iMac, and I was able to run two separate monitors. So when I'm over there working at my workstation, I have on the left my email, on the right Adobe Premiere, and I mean in the center, and to the right I have the output monitor. And now the exciting news is all the copies of Steelmanville Road are done. So I can move on to Better Ben. Look, we're getting there, folks. We are getting there. So now what I do is I open up. I'll be lucky if I don't screw this up because I'm bullshitting here. Better Ben. Eight of them. So, by the way, any of you that have ordered the Blu-rays that have been waiting for them, you are watching them being made, and they will go out this afternoon. So I just fed a blank, let's see. Mandela effect. Yeah, well, I got news for you about the Mandela effect. At some point, possibly over the summer, Mandela effect was short. It was like an hour and 10 minutes instead of the normal 90 minutes. So what we're doing is I'm going to add 20 minutes to the Mandela effect to get it up to 90 minutes. Not a director's cut, just a fuller version of it. I'll probably give a break to anybody that already ordered the Blu-ray sets that wants the new one on Blu-ray. I'll give a break in price. Like I'll make it. I'll show you there they're red. That was actually done with the Haunted Highway, by the way. For those of you, the original Haunted Highway was 70 minutes long. And then I went back and I filmed an extra 20 minutes where there's the whole part with the werewolf. People ask me what was my favorite. So what I was saying was I added a werewolf section to it, and that took it to 90 minutes or over. People ask me all the time what my favorite one to make was. The first one, I had no expectations, but it was fun. They all have been fun, but the seventh one, The Haunted Highway, was a lot of fun. The last one, um, Undead, is that what that's called? Yes. That was the last 20 minutes. That whole thing was fun to make because we went to the zoo and all that stuff. But the last 20 minutes was just a blast to make. And but this one we're working on now. First of all, working with Scott, and so far I've only worked with Scott on this film, but Mitch will be involved, Courtney will be involved. This one has started off. I mean, it is. Oh shit! Why did I write another one? I still had that. Scott himself has said about how much fun this one has been so far and how action packed the first 12 minutes of it is. And the way I'm pacing myself for this, there's going to be no lulls. This is tedious, but it's so satisfying when you pack these up and you put them in an envelope and you mail them to the people that ordered them. When I do the movies by myself, they're easier in one regard because they're quicker. I can shoot every day if I want and get something done in a month. But working with the cast, obviously, I mean, it's more enjoyable to have people involved. It was enjoyable doing the ones with myself too, but how much can you just watch one handsome fella like myself in the film? The the second film, Steelmanville Road, where I got a cast. Most of you know the story of the first one. I wasn't supposed to be in it at all. Uh, the but the cast all dropped out prior to shooting, and I pay the actors. I mean, they don't get paid a fortune, but they get paid more than most indie films, and they dropped out. So I said, well, I'll just film myself. The second one, I actually got a cast, and there was a theater group at about 45 minutes from here, and two of the people, well, one of the people in that group I saw was also Facebook friends with a friend of mine. So I messaged him, and him and his wife, uh, Chris and Jess Partridge, came down, and they were in that one, and they had friends that were actors too. Um, so I got a couple actors for that. The third one, um, I knew Schmitty and Jackie and David, and I got them involved in it. The fourth one was just me again, the Mandela effect, and the evil Miss Holly was in the background doing some stuff there. The fifth one I actually cast and got Jetta, and then I was in like the last 12 minutes of it with her, but it was Jetta and Nick played the Crescent Moon Clown. The sixth one was just me again. The seventh one, I had a couple friends that I used on other projects that were in that, the Haunted Highway. The eighth one is when the pandemic happened. So I reached out to the fans and said, can you film stuff yourself where you're at? So I had people in England and all over the country here in the United States film their own segments. And I put it together as if they were Skyping me or Zoom chatting with me to get advice on whether they were experiencing paranormal activity or something related to the pandemic. And the ninth one, I had one actor, Father Murphy, and myself did that whole thing. The 10th one is where I met Scott. Now, Scott, how I met him was about 5 years ago when, HVAC, your heater and air conditioner. I had a company that came over and did preventive maintenance on the heater and air conditioner. And Scott was the guy that came. And I told him I make movies and all. He never mentioned his interest in acting. And then the next time, because the heating and air conditioning company comes in the spring and the fall. And the next season when they came, Scott wasn't there, which it's a big company, so sometimes they switch. And the guy says, "Hey, you remember Scott?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, he left the company. He's working on becoming an actor." And I saw a TV commercial. I was like, "Son of a bitch! I make films. Why didn't he tell me?" So I didn't know how to get a hold of him. I didn't know his last name, and I didn't talk to him. Years passed, like 5 years. And then last spring, when I started uh, prepping for uh, what the eulogy, I was in Facebook. Yeah, Drugo Jesus. I was in a Facebook actors room looking for actors, and there he was. So I sent him making a comment on something. So I sent him a message and I said, "Didn't you used to work for such and such um, HVAC?" And he said, "Yeah, I did." I said, "You were at my house." And I described the house. He goes, "Oh, I remember you." And I said, "Listen, I make these low budget horror films. Would you be interested in being in working with me?" And I forgot because I'm thinking Philadelphia an hour, and that's always a pain in the ass. But I forgot that he worked for a company down here at the time. So he said, "Oh, I only live 10 minutes from you." So he came over, and I got to tell you what a great find, because he is one of the nicest people you'd ever meet, and he is also very talented. I don't use a lot when I have casts. Normally, I use scripts, but I also we do a lot improv. Like I could tell you, one was improv. Mandela Effect was improv. The Way In was improv. Eulogy and Undead, and now the 12th one, Alien Agenda, are improv. And I got to give a lot of credit to Scott, because I just tell him what I want to be going on in a scene, and he does it. Hey, Melody, I haven't shared it yet. I was going to share it tonight. Last night, I didn't broadcast, but Melody, everybody, had surgery the other day, and she, as promised, she sent me the video to tell me she survived. And we were happy to hear that, even though she's my nemesis and she always treats me rotten. But you look surprisingly well in that video. But I'm glad. Hopefully you're not too sore today. You're feeling better. But yeah, I met Scott that way. I've worked with him, and I got to tell you, I know that one day we're going to see Scott in something big. Not saying Bad Ben's not big, but you know what I mean. He'll be in a major production, and today feels off because yesterday you were on the good drugs. Well, just try to take it easy. I know that's obvious, but to say, but you got somebody watching the kids, because that's tough to do when you're sore. But yes, Scott has been an absolute pleasure to work with. He's talented. He's funny. He's nice. Melody, give me your address. I'll come watch them kids. That's obviously a brave statement I'll make, but I ain't watching those kids. Not based on the stories. You tell me. In fact, your kids terrify me, if I'm being honest. Well, now, as we've been talking about the Mandela effect, I'm actually now making the Mandela effect DVDs. And for those of you that are just tuning in, I'll show you what I'm doing. These are stacks of the Blu-rays, and these are blank. And I printed out all the labels for the Blu-ray covers, and now I put them in this thing, and I feed them in the printer. And you're sitting here keeping me company as I'm doing this exciting task. I'm shutting some windows here, hopefully not shutting this down. So now I'm copying the Mandela effect. The editing is going great. I'm actually caught up on everything now. We're filming again. Yeah, the cigar is right there. Um, we've been filming Friday nights, but this is Good Friday, so we're not filming. Scott's not available tomorrow night, so I could either shoot tonight or Saturday or next week twice. And if you remember last week, I asked for help to make a quick purchase. Well, the piece of equipment I want doesn't actually arrive until Friday. So I figure rather than shoot tonight without it, I would rather wait to have it. And that's what we get when it prints out. This one, the Mandela effect doesn't have, it's a white cover, so you really can't see a lot. But these Blu-rays here have already have the videos on them. I make the copies of the videos first, the Blu-rays first, in case any of them have an error, because I'd rather not have them printed already, because the printing takes a lot of ink. So what I do is here's the master for like the Crescent Moon Clown on top. It's handwritten. And beneath that are all the blanks I've made. And I just sit here and they're already copied and quality checked, so they work. And now I print the labels on them. The cigar. Fender bought one of the satellite in the very beginning of that shows the spaceship going up into space. It's called the Fender satellite now because Fender is actually the name of their dog. And I cleaned up and rearranged the studio this morning so I could sit here instead of sitting over at my computer. And plus, this way, it's a little easier. I'm spread out a little more. And I know this isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but hello, Fender. I was saying that to her dog, by the way, not to her. Um, I figure at least if you're watching this, you're not stuck watching everything else going on in the news right now. So I'm approximately 1/3 of the way done. Howdy, Becky. For those of you that are just joining and wondering what I'm doing, is I'm making Blu-rays for orders that I've already taken so I can get them set out. Is your original idea for the last Bad Ben movie still the same? You mean the final one, the plan? Yeah, but that one's going to cost some money to make. So hopefully I can find a producer or somebody with some sick amount of money that wants to invest in it. In Western New York. Better than listening to the radio all day. I do it. So what are you listening to this on like your iPhone or your phone? Because I'm glad I can provide you entertainment as you're doing deliveries. No, what happens is the idea for the final Bad Ben, whenever I choose to make it, is that Tom Riley finishes. It opens with the end of the previous film, whatever that would be, and you hear the director yell cut and say, all right, that's it, and say, good job, Nigel, because now I'm like my real self. And what happens in this film, and you will find that my real self is very similar to Tom Riley. But what has happened, it's going to be a lot like the first Bad Ben. Um, what happens is from screwing around with making fun of ghosts and demons and all these years, I actually have opened myself up to actual haunting and stuff. So it's going to be a dark, scary, creepy film. I feel like I ought to have Glenn in this. Oh, you can see the whole thing. Well, let me move him over a little. There. So there's Glenn. So I'm keeping Becky's home sick. I'm sorry to hear that, Becky. And you guys are keeping me company. I've already been on for 90 minutes. If you remember in Eulogy, Scott and Lisa, by the way, in Eulogy, who was Miss Jenna, is actually Scott's wife. She was his fiance then. Scott got married in February. They went to Hawaii, because that's where they met 12 years ago. So if you remember, they bring me up in the crystal ball, and I talk about Glenn, Satan. I'll tell you what, sitting here doing this while talking to you is actually making the time pass faster for me. Hello, Cherie. Nice to see you again. Good morning, Brian. Brian, have I seen you in here before? That seems like a new name to me. If you've been in one of these chats before, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. Am I crazy, or were there some extra parts to Pandemic once it was put on the Roku channel? There was nothing added to Pandemic. No, there was the one film that on the Roku channel and on the DVD had more than on Amazon was The Haunted Highway. There was like 20 minutes added, which had the werewolf involved, which was great work. James Devine is his name. And the plan is to expand, because the only film that's not like an hour and a half is The Mandela Effect. And I do plan on maybe over the summer adding an extra 20 minutes to that film to bring it up to 90 minutes. You won a poster a while back. I'm going to do some giveaways. And I got so many people hanging out with me today. I ought to do a giveaway today. The Amazon app is still in work. It was preliminarily approved and then it was rejected in the final step because it needed copyright documentation. And so that was provided. And that could mean I could get notice today that it's active. It was supposed to go active March 26th at 10 p.m. Pacific time. And the last step. But I'm working on some things here. In fact, well, the Mandela Effect is now done. So we move on to the Crescent Moon Clown. So it will be, it could be anytime this weekend. It could be 2 weeks, but I got some other things I'm working on. Here's one of the problems, however. If you're like me, like Netflix, if you hang on, let me get this next one started here. I like the color of the Crescent Moon Clown label. It's orange. Here's the problem. If you sign up for Netflix or Hulu, you sign up online, or you can pay on the device. But you can log it if you have like a Roku TV, and say you have a Samsung TV, and say you have a Amazon Fire in another room. You can bring them up on any. You can bring them up on your Amazon Fire account. You can bring them up on your Roku device. You can bring them up on your Samsung TV. The way that's something, it's a subscription based service. But for those of you that have like a Roku and an Amazon, with the way our channel is, you would have to have two subscriptions. You'd have to have a Roku subscription and an Amazon subscription to bring them up on different devices. However, that's now. In another couple months over the summer, they're going to be combined where you'll be able to bring them up on the two devices. And down the road, by the way, we plan on having, and see, there's the Crescent Moon Clown one. First one done. And for those of you that are just joining, what you're watching is I'm making Blu-rays. So we will have Google Play. We will have Apple TV. Will be on a ton of stuff. But there's a possibility I'm switching Roku provider. Hey, Jamie. That's a different account there. I'm not used to actually seeing you come up as yourself. By the way, everyone who's watched Access Paranormal, Jamie, who just popped into the room here, I'll put him up on screen so that Oh, that's Cherie. Hang on. Jamie is the host of, well, he's the UK team in Access Paranormal. Jamie's the one of the three people. You've got Jamie, Jonathan, and Marie, and he just had a birthday last week, by the way. So everybody needs to tell Jamie happy birthday. So yes, you did surprise me. I recognized your name and your picture. By the way, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, Jamie, is I'm making the Blu-rays of the films. And I was Fender says hi, Jamie. And the fans are keeping me company as I'm sitting here doing it. And this right here is where I'm sitting. I wheel the desk in here. But for those of you that are wondering from the Access Paranormal show, this is where Scott and I sit and do the show while they're in the United Kingdom broadcasting live as they're ghost hunting. Jamie's the one that introduced us to the Spirit Talker app, and so Jamie, I had somebody from Yorkshire in here earlier. I've been on for an hour and 45 minutes already, but I had someone in here earlier from Yorkshire because they said it was morning when I started this. It's now afternoon here, and they said, "Good afternoon." I said, "Where are you?" And I said, are you in the United Kingdom?" And they said, "Yes, Yorkshire." Right now, the Blu-rays aren't available on the site because what I'm doing is I'm sitting here. These Blu-rays I'm making are backups. I mean, are fulfilling back orders. Um, all right, bud. Yeah. Um, so I will put them up probably later tonight. I'll put some up, and they'll be available for pre-order. Jamie, aren't you guys over there about to have a big coronation? When is it? June? King Charles? That must be an exciting time for your country. In May, oh, so it's next month. Have I ever been on a ghost hunt yourself? Physically present for one? No. But when we do Access Paranormal, Scott and I are sitting here in the studio, and Jamie and Jonathan and Marie are in the United Kingdom actually doing a paranormal investigation. So, in that sense, yes, I've been on them, many now with them, and everyone is exciting. Um, but have I physically been on one? No. Oh, the mail's here. I can see my outdoor monitor is right over there. Holly is upstairs with the puppers. Yeah, I saw yesterday somebody posted a picture of the invite, and she's listed as Queen Camilla, so I guess that's been resolved. And yeah, Jamie keeps saying he wants Scott and I to come over for some actual investigations. I'll probably put on some Depend underwear to keep from pooping myself. Let me go back to my banner. Of course, for those of you that have watched Access Paranormal, you've got the team in the United Kingdom that are, do what they do. You've got Scott here that is a believer, and then you've got me that's a bit of a skeptic. By skeptic, I mean I by no means think what they're doing is bullshit, because I will tell you one of the things that gives credibility to the paranormal investigators over there is the fact that when something happens, like there's a sound or something, or something moves, or there's a motion sensor goes off, if they caused it, they immediately tell us, oh, that was us. And that adds credibility to the fact that them not just saying, oh, what was that? So, and we definitely love doing them, Jamie. I gotta, just when I'm in film shooting mode, I still got, I still got weeks of material to edit still. Got to finish that cemetery we were in with the upside down grave. There's the last episode that's currently up on the Roku channel, has it's this huge cemetery, like it's now called a park, but it's like 50,000 bodies buried there. And one of the graves, they're actually like these huge concrete slabs, and you can walk across them. And one of the graves is marked 666 with no name on it. And the story goes that buried in that grave is a person that was thought to be a vampire, and they're buried face down. So that was the last episode. I still got more of that episode to edit. If I ever come to Kentucky, I would like to visit all the United States, but I don't know. I say that, but I'm getting older and older and older. There, we have had in the Access Paranormal episodes, we're watching when we do these. Felix says she hopes my day is fabulous. Thank you. It is now because you're here. But in the Access Paranormal episodes we did, we had, we are just like I'm talking to you now. That's how we are. Like, the difference is the UK team is over there, and we're watching them live, just like you're watching me. And we're over here, and we're broadcasting to them. We're broadcasting to each other. And then we take that footage afterwards and we combine it. I edit it together. But when we're watching it, it can sometimes be difficult to hear, or they'll say, did you hear that? Or what was that? And it's not until I'm in the studio with the headphones on that I hear stuff or see stuff that we didn't see when we were actually recording. And one particular was, Jamie, what was that cemetery we were in where we saw that, what looked like that face on the tombstone? The one where the cat balls were going crazy when you were talking? There was the chat, all those ones though. There was that episode, I think was episode 4. We're walking through this cemetery with them, and he goes by this tombstone, and it looks this most St. Helens Cemetery near your house. It looks like a face appears on the tombstone, like an evil face. Well, when they get close, it's actually like a flower. But anybody that sees that video, it looks like this little demonic face when it pops up. But in that same episode, there's the cat balls are going crazy. And cat balls are these motion sensor balls, which they're meant for cats, which when they hit them, they light up. So the cats play with them, but they don't light up unless they're moved. So they'll use them in their investigations by turning them on and sitting them down, and then they step away from them. And if they go off, it means that something brushed them. So hang on a second. Let me do this and I'll get right back to that story. I don't want to screw this up. I think Mrs. Biggins might be going out to get the mail. Let me just do this, folks, and not screw it up, and I'll get back to that story. We're now to the way in. So in that episode, they hang on a second. In that episode, the cat balls are going crazy, and or I forget what order it happened in, but there was a lot of activity, and all of a sudden they looked at a gravestone. It had something, some symbol on there, and I said, "What does that symbol mean?" I've seen that on tombstones before, and we weren't sure. Well, when we got to the INXS is what I think it was. So when I got to editing it, I Googled it, and it stands for the ancient word for Jesus. And it was amazing because when that word, because oh, they're at the cat balls are going off, and then there was the word Jesus came up on the spirit talker. We got so much shit going on at once when we do these things. And the word Jesus comes up on the spirit talker. And all of a sudden, all the activity stopped. So they went walking off, and there was this tombstone that had Jesus printed in the ancient language on it. So that was just coincidental. There was also an episode, which I think it was the first half of that episode, where we heard a voice, and probably to me, and this happened in the last two episodes. There, well, one episode, Marie was sick, so she wasn't there, and they're in this. It was the Orangery, and they're in this underground tunnel, and we hear a woman's voice, and it sounded just like Marie, and she wasn't there. And I wound up isolating it in the studio. And then this last episode, the most recent episode that's up on the Roku channel right now, there is, you hear Jonathan and Marie are standing over like near this. I mean, there's so many graves there, they're everywhere. But Jamie turns the camera and he says, "Did you hear that?" And all of a sudden you hear this voice, like a woman's voice. Then you hear Marie talking like over it, so it's not Marie's voice. So it's just some of the weirdest shit happens in these things. We have a Roman village and a church in middle of field planned for us all, Nigel. Well, you know I look forward to every one of these. Because they're all exciting. And hopefully, before I'm too old of a man, I can get to England. But I don't know how much walking I'd be doing right now because we filmed 2 weeks ago a scene where we rolled down this hill, and it looks more intense than it actually was. But then the next day, my hip started hurting, and I've been limping for 2 weeks. I ain't the kid I once was. I'm the bald old man. And I'm gray. Gray. Oh, hang on. Hey, Scott, how are you? We're actually live right now on Facebook. Uh, No, you can. What's up? Let, let me ask you a question. You said tomorrow night and Friday night you're not. I mean, Friday night I didn't want to shoot. Tomorrow night you're not available, right? Well, the thing about it is it's not getting dark till like 8 anyway. So what happened was I ordered a piece of equipment that I'm. Oh shit! It won't be here till Friday though. Let me ask you a question. How is Saturday night bad for you? Well, how about we preliminarily plan because it comes on Friday, and I want to use that in what we're doing. And so, hang on, Scott. I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Say hi to everyone.
Hey, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day.
Jamie, by the way, is in the room from the UK team,
Oh,
and he said, "Hi, Scott." So
well, tell him hello as well. I hope they're doing all right over there.
I know he's telling me what they got lined up for us: this Roman village and a church and all kinds of places
Well, I'm
coming up.
freaking out because you know I'm a Roman history buff. So,
Well, he's Jamie. He just said he's freaking out because he's a Roman history buff. And Becky says, "Hi, Scott. Have a good day."
oh, thank you, Becky. I hope you have a great day as well.
I don't know if they can hear. I think they can probably hear you if I can hear you. But anyway, let me let you go. So let's preliminarily plan for Saturday night. It won't be a long shoot, but it'll be an important one.
All right, perfect.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Yep.
See
See
you.
ya.
I love that guy. Um, yeah, Jamie, he's been since you first mentioned that Roman village, he's been excited because he loves Roman history. Scott was a Marine, and I think you call them former Marines. You're not allowed to call them ex Marines because once a Marine, always a Marine. By the way, folks, I just want to let you know I'm officially at the halfway point here. Working on copying the way in right now. So that's 5.5 I've done. And now we're on to the rest of them. Actually, if I count the fact that the first one was 10, we're already past the halfway point. So, anybody got any big Easter plans? Jamie, you see, I wear my best clothes. I wear my best clothes for Access Paranormal. This is my smoking jacket, complete with cigar holes in it. And how's your puppy doing, by the way? You got the cutest dog. going from you. Holly and I are having ham. Now, you know what? There's something funny with this camera. It like as it's going in and out, like it constantly works on focusing. So it looks like the whole camera moves, but no, Glenn's not moving. Oh, Jessie's asleep right now next to her daddy. 98-year-old grandma. God bless her. Holly and I are having ham and some fixins. Holly's the chef here at Steelmanville Road. I check each one of these um, Blu-rays as I print them to make sure there's no like errors in them. Steelmanville Road. That was a lot of fun to make. Elijah's now all grown up because that film was 2017. He was 16 years old then. Or he turned 16 while we were filming that. And now he's, that was 6 years ago. So he's legal, out drinking. And for those of you that joined in the process here, what I'm doing is I just am sitting here hanging out with you guys as I make copies of the Blu-rays to fulfill back orders. And I'm officially halfway done. More than halfway if you count. I'm printing on them now. I copy the Blu-ray before I print on them in case there's a failure because the printing uses a lot of ink. But if you count the fact that I had to make all the copies first, I'm like well past halfway done. But printing on them wise, I'm halfway done. And then when this is done, I get to pack them up and send them. I've got to get rid of push notifications on Twitter. So I started watching The Mist last night, and I got more than halfway through it and turned it off because Sable was getting upset. We don't know if it was the movie or if it was something else going on, but she got upset, so I shut it off. But that was well done. Well, this is the last one of The Way In. And next is everybody's, well, is a fan favorite, The Haunted Highway. I'm sitting out here. I should have plugged this in to the system, but I can't do it now. But I have the front monitor outside that I can see the driveway, or I could see the front of the house or anything. Um, and we have had so much rain and it's been so mild that we've already stuff sprouting like it typically does, a month from now is happening already. But some of you have told me you've had unbelievable weather, like snowstorms, blizzards. The other night, we were actually in New Jersey, had 9 tornadoes. And let me tell you something. We are not a tornado. Uh, we are not a tornado area. The way in, let's open the haunted highway. Let's keep focused, Riley. I got multiple. So now we're on the haunted highway. So this is film 7 of 11. So I'm streaming along here, folks. There will be, when Alien Agenda's done. Oh, hang on. Let me back up here for a minute. I live in Chicago and we had no snow this winter. It's unbelievable for Chicago. Jamie asked, how's the filming going, Nigel? It's going great. Scott just called to see if we're filming tonight because he can't film. Well, now he says he can film tomorrow night, but we're not filming Friday night because it's Good Friday. And I got a piece of equipment arriving Friday, so we're going to shoot Saturday. But it's going great. And as far as the Corrigan asks about the releasing individual Blu-rays for Alien Agenda, here's how that's going to work. These cases have 11 films in them, but they hold 12. So when we do, when 12 is done, people are going to be able to order them one of 3 ways: as the individual Blu-ray, or they're going to be able to order them as this Blu-ray set of 12 instead of 11. Or for those of you that already ordered the first 11, the case, you'll be able to, you'll get a new label which will include 12 at the bottom. This is films 1 through 11. It'll have 12 down here, Alien Agenda, and so you'll get the new label and a DVD just in a protective envelope that'll be sent to you. So you can take the new DVD, put in your case with the other 12, and change the cover on the front of the case so that it reflects all 12. So there's going to be 3 ways to order it: individually with its own jacket as part of the Blu-ray set, or if you already purchased the Blu-ray set, you'll be able to get a new cover with just the Blu-ray to put in your set. Everybody loved Haunted Highway. That had DJ in it. It had Lionel. Lionel was the Jack Vampire. I've known Lionel a lot of years now. I'm surprised this thing hasn't run out of ink yet. Watch it do it right now. Hey Google, what's the temperature? Didn't hear me. 63 degrees. Happy Passover. So you got them all so far. Oh, I don't know why, but after it seems like it takes forever to get to the halfway point, and then it seems to take longer to get the rest of the way through. Oh, Fender. Have a good doctor's appointment, Sherry. Do, 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 do. Well, you know what? It's supposed to be here tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? 80 degrees and raining all day. Five degrees in England, Jamie says. They've been out in 0 degrees Celsius, by the way. Below zero, they've been out on some of these ghost hunts. So for any of you that are watching that have a Blu-ray set on back order, you'll be it'll be shipping. Well, it will go out tomorrow, but it will be packed up tonight. $80 and raining. That's crazy. Well, I'll tell you what, the California folks needed the moisture because of all the drought, but hopefully one of the things they're aiming towards, I guess, infrastructure wise, is to build some better reservoir. That's true. Jamie's saying that while they're out doing the investigations in the freezing weather, I'm sitting here with Scott in the studio and we got the wood stove going full blast, and it's but we do feel your pain, Jamie. I'm very curious to see, with this winter being so unusually warm for us, I'm very curious to see what happens in the summer. So I've been going at this for 2.5 hours, folks. But it's only 1 o'clock. So I think what I'm going to do here, folks, is because I'm going to have to change ink. I'm going to shut down for now and hopefully be back on later tonight. So thank you for keeping me company for the past 2.5 hours. And I will be back later tonight. And see you then. See you. Love you. Bye.